The most important part of a Facebook ad campaign is undoubtedly the ad itself. It's the only part that people actually see, and if you want your ads to convert, you have to create high quality ads. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create ads that convert like crazy, including a super easy way to put together stunning ad creative. Okay, so to demonstrate how this works, I'm in an example ad account. I've just created a quick example Facebook ad campaign. Now, we're not going to cover anything at the campaign or ad set level. I have plenty of other videos that cover those. I really want this to be all about the ad level. As I already mentioned, that is the most important part of your Facebook ad campaign, particularly as the Facebook ad platform evolves and more of things like targeting are handled by Facebook's own machine learning processes. Now, before we get into specific elements of the ad itself, we need to think about how our audience, how our potential customers are going to interact with our ads. So they're scrolling through Facebook feed, Instagram feed, obviously there are other placement options. And typically the way they're going to interact and see your ad is they'll start with the creative, with its image, video, etc. That's what they're going to see to begin with. That's what's going to grab their attention. Then they'll quickly glance at the headline, and then obviously if they're interested, they'll go up to the primary text, or depending on where the primary text is, depending on the placement option selected, and they will then read that because it's going to provide more information. They're going to see if they're actually interested enough to click and come through to your website and either purchase or become a lead, etc. That's typically how people interact with our ads, but that's not the order in which I would recommend you actually create a Facebook ad. I think it's better to start with the headline, because the headline is going to describe, hopefully it will do once you've watched this video and you know how to do it properly, it will describe the offer, and the offer is the most important part of the ad. What do people actually get? Why should they click? Why should they come through and inquire? Why should they go ahead and purchase? That's the most important part. You need to get that right first, and that's likely going to be in the headline. I would recommend that it is. So we're going to start with the headline, then we're going to flesh out the primary text, because that should support the headline. That should be a natural follow on from the headline, give people more information about the various things to do with your product services, why should they buy, all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to end with the creative. Now, the creative is the most important part. Your images, videos, that's what grabs their attention. But in terms of how you create it, you actually want to do that last. And as I already mentioned, I've got a really super easy way for you to put those ad creatives together that I'll show you later on. So make sure you stick around for that. And to make this video as useful as possible, I'm going to use a number of examples as we go through the ad creation process in a few different industries. So we've got premium cakes, dog walking, interior design, men's shoes, some quite different stuff there. Now, of course, what I show you applies to all other niches as well. As an agency, we work with lots of different types of businesses in every single industry you can imagine over the last 7 years, right? So this stuff is applicable across the board, but I think a few different examples, particularly of some product, some service, etc., will be useful, okay? So before we get into actually writing your headlines, your primary text, there's an exercise I would recommend you go through, and something that we do with our clients, right? So the first thing that you want to do is make a list of reasons why people buy. Why do people purchase the products and services that you offer? Why might they? So why might someone buy a premium cake, a luxury cake? When it pops up on their feed, why might they take that action? Delicious. It's indulgent. It's a treat for someone. Low calorie, if that's obviously applicable. A great gift. You could be buying it for someone else who loves cakes. And social status that comes with it being a premium product. Oh, we're having friends over at the weekend. Let's get into some of those luxury cakes. You know, it'll make us look good to them that we spent a bit of money and bought this nice stuff and things like that. Don't underestimate that as a potential reason why people purchase things, particularly on the luxury premium end of things. So just a quick list that applies to premium cakes. Move on to the next one. We've got dog walking. Okay, so if you're going to hire someone to walk your dog for you, it's going to hopefully save you time, avoid stress on difficult walks. If you've got a dog that doesn't have very good recall or issues, the dog walker is going to take care of all that for you. So you're going to avoid the stress. You're going to avoid any guilt around not finding the time to walk your dog. If you're at work and you just don't get to it and you think, oh, the dog hasn't had a walk today, this is terrible, you're going to avoid that guilt. That's a benefit associated. And you're going to avoid getting wet and cold. I live in the UK, I walk my dog every day. It rains a lot. Someone else can walk your dog, they can be out in the sideways rain. That's a good benefit associated with that service. Next, we've got the interior design example. So a stress-free project. A lot of people would like to do a home renovation, but they don't want the stress and the organization that comes with all that. Interior design is going to take care of it for you. Beautiful home. That's obviously an outcome that you want. Impress friends and family. Same as a social status. When they come round, see what you've done. Oh, this looks amazing. That sort of thing. At the end of it, you want to feel sort of relaxed and cozy and like you're in a beautiful space, and how that makes you feel. There's a lot of sort of internal feelings associated with the home that you're in being as nice as possible. You want to feel a bit important. You know, I've hired an interior designer. I'm someone that's done well for myself. I'm able to hire people to take care of me and take care of the things that are important to me. That's another one. And then we've got the men's shoes example. What's the benefit associated with these products? Well, I want them to be comfortable. I don't want them to give me blisters. I want them to last a long time. I don't want to be having to buy a new one in a month's time if this one's worn through. Save money if that's an option. Is it a good price in comparison to some of the other options? Does it look good? When I'm out and about in these shoes, am I going to be sort of like, oh yeah, these look really nice if I catch a reflection of myself? And then again, also social status. If they look good, are they going to impress friends, impress other people? Are they going to look good at work? If they're a nice pair of shoes, are they going to be appropriate for the setting? So that didn't take me very long to come up with those lists. It maybe took me 10 minutes to write those out, maybe a bit less, before I recorded this video. But I'd encourage you to just go through and make a list of all the things, reasons why people might buy your products and services. Now, we might not be able to include all of them in our ads, but we might be able to get in some of those major points, and I'll show you what that looks like as we go through this process. So the first element that we're going to tackle is the headline. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight my example ad, click edit, and then we're going to scroll down, get rid of that bit. We're going to scroll down to the headline section here, okay? Write a short headline. So in the headline, it's really important to be very clear about whatever it is that you're offering. You don't want to try and be cute and clever and have something that be a little bit interesting, a little bit curiosity provoking, that requires your prospects work it out. That's not a good way to go. That's not how people interact with these platforms. They are looking for things that are going to interest them, and you want your ad to grab their attention away from all the other interesting stuff that they might see on Facebook or Instagram, and you want to hold it. So you want it to be very, very clear where someone's scrolling through and they go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that is something I'm quite interested in. And then they'll find out more. You don't want it to be anything that's a bit mysterious that might work for an email subject line, for example, or even like a YouTube video title that evokes that curiosity. Oh, I'm going to click and have a look. That's not how these platforms work. You want it to be very clear what it's talking about. You also want to focus on your offer. What is it that they're actually getting? And if you can include a benefit or two associated with your product or service that ties in with the offer, you'll see some examples in a minute that'll explain it better, ones that we can use from the list that we just made, writing out all the various reasons why someone might buy your thing. If we can include those in a headline, that's really good as well. And just remember that when an ad doesn't succeed, one of the main reasons is often because the headline doesn't make the offer clear enough, or simply the offer just isn't appealing enough. If you're offering people a 2% discount, there's not much incentive to take action, right? I'm sure you understand that. But the clarity is a point that often gets missed. Even if it's actually a great deal, if they don't understand it in a microsecond, you're gonna miss out on clicks, conversions, etc. So let's add in some examples. So if we go with premium cakes to start with, this is a headline we've used advertising a business in that space. So the headline is mouth-wateringly good, low-calorie cakes. So we're being very clear of what the offer is, that you can click on this ad and you can buy a cake. That's fairly straightforward, right? We're also including some of the benefits associated with these cakes. Mouth-wateringly good. That's one of the things that people buy cakes for. It's because it's going to be delicious. It's going to be nice and indulgent and tasty and make them feel better and all that sort of stuff. But we've also got low-calorie cakes in there. That's another benefit associated with these products, is that you don't have to feel too guilty about them. You don't have to modify what else you eat that day too much, because they're not too high calorie, but they're still really tasty. Okay, so that's just a simple example that worked really well for a business in that space. The next option is for dog walking. So if we go ahead and delete that out and then copy and paste the next one in, we've very simply got reliable, fun dog walking, just $15. So it's really important to put in a headline like this, dog walking, and I see a lot of people miss that bit out. Again, I know I'm hammering home the clarity point, but I think it's really important that is what we're offering here. We're offering dog walking services. We'll walk your dog for you. But reliable, that ties back into some of the benefits we talked about. Stress-free walks. I want someone that's going to be, take care of my dog and keep him safe, and I don't have to worry about it all. Fun. I want my dog to have a good time. I'm guilty about not being able to walk him enough. Oh, it'd be great if someone else could take him out and fun. And then we've also got a price point in there, which can be really helpful if that's one of the benefits associated with your service, if that's one of the selling points. Super clear, super obvious, benefit rich. That's a good headline. Now, the next one is for the interior designers, the interior design services. So if we go ahead and take that out and put this in. Now, this is a headline that we ran for an interior design business. It could not be more simple. It's not very benefit rich. That comes in the primary text and is also focused on in the ad creative with this ad in particular. But it's a good headline because it's very descriptive of what it is that the introductory offer is for this business. It's an interior design company, they offer interior design services. Oh, and you can start by booking an free interior design consultation. Not much to say about that one, it's really simple, but it worked. Then moving on to the next one, we've got the men's shoes, and here we've just got a very, very descriptive headline of exactly what the product is. Classic tan Oxford brogues, just £45. So the benefit is the price point. Obviously this would be in conjunction with imagery and video that would show the product and you can see how nice it looks. So you'd be thinking, oh, that's a really good price point for the quality of that shoe. Therefore it's a benefit associated with the product, okay? With this, we can't get much else in there just because of the length of the descriptor of the product itself. Classic tan Oxford brogues. It's already 4 words just to describe what it is. You could put other things in, like I think these were leather shoes. You could pop that in there, for example. So you have to customize your headline to the products and services that you're selling. And you also have to sometimes sacrifice some things just in order to get some really obvious stuff in there. Like, don't feel you always have to be super benefit rich if sometimes you can't really fit it. That's fine, that can come elsewhere. So again, this is a very, very simple headline. Could not get more simple really, it's just a product plus a price point, but the price point makes a difference and this one worked well as well. So we can move on to the other elements and you can see how these get fleshed out. Okay, so once we've written our headline, and by the way, you can add a number of different headline options, which is something I would often recommend for testing purposes. You can add up to 5 different options in there, but let's assume we've just got the one for now as we go through this process. We then want to move on to our primary text. So I'm going to give you 5 different techniques that we like to use and incorporate for writing primary text specifically. And the first one is the call out method, okay? So the call out method is really, really useful, particularly where you've got limited targeting options and you might struggle to target the exact audience that you want with the options available at the ad set level, and instead you can allow your ad to do some of the heavy lifting, okay? So if I give you an example, if we go back to the interior design example, and I'm just going to copy and paste the interior design headline in here, what we could put in here as the call out method is we could start with something like moving home or redecorating. Now what that's going to do is anyone who is moving home, anyone who is redecorating, that's going to help hold their attention. So remember how someone interacts with your ads. First, they're going to see your creative. So this would, in this case, we'll get to that in a minute, but you can imagine it's going to be imagery and things like that of like beautiful interiors and stuff like that. Then they see the headline, free interior design consultations. Okay, that's interesting. You know, we've been thinking about improving our home, doing a renovation, whatever. This is interesting. And then they go to the primary text to find out more information to see if they'd actually like to take the next step, click on the ad, go through whatever it happens to be, okay? So this is gonna help hold their attention. Moving home, redecorating. If you are moving home or you are redecorating, that's really gonna grab you and then that's gonna lead into the rest of the primary text. Remember, it's good for scenarios where we can't target very easily. There's no targeting options in Facebook for someone who is currently redecorating their home. You used to be able to target people who had recently moved, but in most locations now that's no longer an option. So we can't do that. We have to just target probably everyone within a local area. Therefore, if we're going to identify the best people and advertise to them, we need to use something like the call out method. And what you'll find is that Meta's really good at working out who to target based on other people's interactions with your ads. So if someone is moving home, they are redecorating, they are in a really good situation to potentially hire an interior designer, they're going to give this ad more attention. And even if they don't go ahead and click and become a lead, Meta's going to see those engagement signals and they're going to work out, okay, this is the type of person that interacts with this ad, therefore we'll put it in front of other people that are similar to them that are likely to interact with it as well. And Meta is really good with their machine learning process of working out in this scenario who else would be moving home, who else would be doing a home renovation, those sorts of things, and they'll put their ads in front of them. So this also helps with those scenarios big time in terms of identifying the best possible people. So if you're using broad targeting or some of the more open targeting, like interests and things like that, this can be a great way to go. You can also do this for local businesses, okay? So let's say we wanted to absolutely make sure that we're only reaching people that live in a certain area. We could start our primary text with something like New Yorkers and then continue on. Or, you know, if you were advertising in the state of Texas, but you only wanted people that actually live there, not people that are traveling in and out, you would go Texans and then carry on with your ad copy. Meta have actually recently made some changes to their location targeting options. Now you have to go with the default, which is people recently in or living in a location. Now that's an issue because if you're advertising somewhere like New York and you are an interior designer, you only want to advertise to people that actually live there. People who are recently in is going to include a lot of tourists, people traveling out of New York for, you know, for business, but also tourists just coming to see the sights and things. You don't want to be putting ads in front of them when they've left the area, okay? So that could be a real big potential issue. Whereas if you start with New Yorkers, anyone that lives in, you know, California who just visited New York for a week and sees that, just gonna go, oh, okay, whatever. And they're going to ignore it. And again, Meta will pick up on those signals. Whereas someone who actually lives there, oh, okay, they're more likely to pay it more attention. That engagement signal gets fed back, and that's really useful. So it's a great way of overcoming those location targeting issues, particularly for local businesses that only want to reach people living there. Because we can't specifically select that as an option, the call out method could really help you out. Okay, so the next technique that's really important is to make sure your primary text is benefit rich. You don't just want to talk about all the things your product or service does. You want to sort of ladder that up to reasons why someone should take the next step. What are the benefits associated? So if we go ahead and delete this out, and then we go back to the interior design example of moving house, redecorating, then we can also look to add in something like this. We'll design a beautiful interior for your home and manage the project for you. A beautiful interior, that's absolutely what you want. Manage the project for you is obviously, we've already discussed, it's stress-free, it's hassle-free project, it's what people want. It's one of the reasons why people don't do home renovations and things along those lines. So that's just a really quick sentence. You could obviously add a number more, but that's just showing you the sorts of things we're looking to do when we're introducing the benefits, and you could apply these to the other examples as well. So the next technique is to make sure you use the right tone. You want the tone of your primary text to be quite different if you're advertising a B2B service to if you're advertising something quite fun and playful like cakes. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete that out, and we'll pop in this primary text for the premium cake option, one of the examples that we've been going through, and I'll talk you through the various elements, okay? So it starts with our signature rainbow cake smothered in white chocolate buttercream frosting and topped with fresh fruit. Okay, so we're using really emotive language. This is a cake, this is something that's indulgent, it's more expensive than the other options, it's delicious, it's luxury, it's like, whoa, you want people to feel as they're reading this, obviously alongside looking at the creative options. So we're not just saying it's got white chocolate buttercream, but it's smothered in white chocolate buttercream frosting and topped with fresh fruit. And you'll see as we go through this, the tone is playful. It's not meant to be too serious. This is a cake. This is not a decision of whether to hire a new accountancy firm or something like that, right? Then we've got, but the best bit, it's only 150 calories per slice, and we're currently offering a 10% discount. And we've got a mind-blown emoji and like a tasty emoji or whatever that would be called. So we're lacing the benefits into the copy, we're putting them in there. It's only 150 calories per slice. It's a low calorie cake. We're currently offering a 10% discount. We didn't feel like that was strong enough to really lead with in the headline. We'd actually test some other headline variations with that offer. They didn't work as well as the one that I showed you previously, which is interesting, but we can pop that in the primary text, and we know it helps conversions once people come through to the website. But we've got benefits in there, following on from the last technique I talked about, but we're also fun and playful, and the tone's right. We've got emojis in here. It's how you might describe it to a friend more than like a business meeting type setup. Then we've got a call to action, which is another technique that I wanted to talk about that we often use in our primary text. I think there's a little downside to putting a call to action at the bottom. If someone's made it that far, they're clearly interested. So just click shop now to brighten up your day. Brighten up your day, it's all fun, it's a rainbow cake, it's playful, it's the right tone, okay? That also, this is a good example of one of the other techniques I wanted to cover with primary text, is that shorter is usually better than longer. Now, there are loads of examples where people write really long primary text and it works really well. But in general, there are rules around putting ads together. And one of them is that the length of your ad copy should be related to the size of the ask. So if you're asking for something quite small, you want to keep it nice, short, sharp, sweet. People can have a look, decide whether or not to do it, and move on. If you're asking for something much more significant, then you need to provide people with more reasons why in your primary text. So for example, if you're just asking someone to purchase a cake that, yes, these are expensive for cakes, but it's not a large monetary outlay, you want it to be quite quick and easy. Click through to the website, check out the cakes. Aren't they pretty? Don't you want to buy one? Don't they make you feel hungry? If we're asking for something that's a lot more substantial, like we're asking someone to purchase a much more expensive product or go ahead and sign up for a really large service, we're going to put a lot more reasons in. So I don't want to give any sort of strict rules around copy length, like it can't be any more than 5 sentences or anything like that. There are always scenarios where you want to mix it up. Say what you want to say about your products and services. If there are 9 different benefits and they're all really strong selling points associated with what you offer, include all 9. Just don't make it any longer than it needs to be. Don't be wordy. Try and find ways to cut it down. You can see that this primary text here, it's punchy, right? It's not wordy. It's not drawn out. It's designed to get the information across, build up some emotion, get people excited, and get them to take action. Okay, so the next section is the ad creative, and this is the perfect time to introduce the sponsor of this video, which is called InVideo, which is a fantastic tool that makes it really, really quick and easy to put together high quality ad creative that looks fantastic, represents your brand well, and can obviously help your ads convert better. Now, the ad creative is incredibly important. It's the most important part of an ad campaign, as we've already discussed. As things like targeting are becoming more and more homogenized across advertisers, we're having to go with the same options. A lot of us are using open targeting. It really is the offer, and the ad creative is where you're going to stand apart and get your competitive advantage. So it's really important that you take this seriously, and I'm going to show you exactly how InVideo works and all the features associated with it and how you can do this quickly and easily. And I've actually managed to work out a deal with InVideo where you get a 25% discount if you click on the link in the video description below and then go through and use the code BENFB25 at checkout. You get a 25% discount on what is already a very well-priced tool, much less expensive than hiring a video editor to do the equivalent, for example. So hopefully that helps you guys out and makes it even easier for you to create high-quality ad creative. Okay, so I'm in my InVideo dashboard, and the first thing to highlight, and this is where I'd recommend you start, is that InVideo has more than 5,000 customizable templates. Particularly if you're not that creative, as I'm not personally, this is the part of Facebook advertising I always found the hardest. I think starting with a template makes a ton of sense. It's going to save you so much time and effort, and you're going to end up with a better product. So you can put your own images in and text and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to go ahead and start by clicking on this template section. And then let's say, for example, we want to create some ads for the premium cake business, right? That's what we're going to go ahead and do. That's been one of our examples. The first thing I'm going to do is add in some filters that help narrow down the options to some of the things that we're looking for. So I'm going to go with square as an example. Obviously, in an ideal world, you'd have different aspect ratios for different ad placements. So we'd have, portrait ones for things like reels, and we'd have square for feeds, and you can absolutely do that. I'd recommend that you do. But if you did want to just go with the one aspect ratio that's going to cover all placements reasonably well, square is normally where I would start. Then I'm going to go down here and select ads on the left-hand side. I think that makes sense. You could absolutely use some of this other stuff like promos, and you can get good ads out of that. But I think selecting there as a good starting point makes a lot of sense. And then we're going to go ahead and add in something really simple like cakes, okay? And I had a little look before I recorded this video at ones that might work for the sort of thing we're looking for, and I really like this one, which is a bakery ad promo. I think that's a good base for what we're looking to do. So I've just clicked on that, and you can have a look, and you can see there's some music playing on here. You can have a look at like the template, how it works. We can select different aspect ratios from within this particular option. I'm going to go ahead and click use template, and then we're going to work our way through changing some of the elements. Okay, so here I am now in the editor, and we can take that template that we've selected and we can fully customize it to how we want. Now this is actually for an online bakery, so it's obviously closely related to what we're looking for, but we're just looking to advertise cakes, so we need to go in and change some elements. So I'm just in this sort of first scene, as it were, and I can start selecting the various things. So instead of fresh fluffy bread, which doesn't really apply, we could have something like from only 150 cows there in that one, and then change this to per slice. It probably wouldn't be capitalized on the P, per slice, something like that. Only 150 cows per slice. And because we've put in more text, we probably want to make that text box a little bit bigger. That helps grow to something like that. And then if we run through that same little section here, we'll see it looks different now. From 150 cows per slice, but the same thing applies, right? We're emphasizing the benefits associated with our product and service, the stuff that we created earlier on, but we're just putting it into this template, so all the rest of the stuff is done for us and looks great. We're just adding in the various elements. Okay, the next thing that we would need to go ahead and change is change the image. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a bunch of cake images.
Moments later.
Okay, so once I've done that, if I just go ahead and drag one of these ones that I've uploaded over the image there, you'll see that you get asked what you would like it to do. Would you like it to add as a layer over the top, or would you like it to replace? In this case, I want it to replace. So we've now got this chocolate cake in there. So if we have a look now at this scene, we can take a look at what we've got here. You can see that's come in, same animation, but it's just using a different image in here, which is great. Okay, so that's the first scene. Now we need to go ahead and change the second one, just like we did with the first one, right? So instead of creamy cakes, because obviously the whole thing is cakes, why don't we just go with something like 10% off, have something like now in there, introduce a little bit of scarcity. 10% off now. Not always 10% off, but right now you can get 10% off. So that's our text customize, and then we can do the exact same. We could change out one of the images for something else. So we could go with an image like that, of course, but if we wanted something that was one of our own products, we just grab another one we've uploaded, drag it over to the image, and again, we're going to click replace, and that's just going to take a second, and that's going to replace in. So if we now look through this scene, we can have a look. So it's now got one of our cake images in, 10% off now. That's one of the benefits associated with our offer. Okay, then we move on to the next one. We've got magnificent muffins. Here we could go ahead and change the text. So if we double click on there, we could go with indulge yourself. You know, I think that's something people often sort of think about. It's kind of the idea when they're having a cake. It's like, this is a treat for me, that sort of thing. So we could put in indulge yourself, and you might want to resize this text, which you can do quite easily, by the way. So if we wanted to really highlight indulge, that's a font 93. We could be like, no, let's make that 130. And if you wanted to change the font or anything, obviously you can just click on font and change the options. I think this one happens to work well. I think the difference in change text size works well here. Again, with the image, we can do the same thing, right? We can stick with that one, or we could go, you know, we want one of our images. I don't think I've used this one yet, so let's go ahead and drag that in. We're going to replace, and that'll put that in there for us. The fourth scene. Now we could of course choose to leave it baked with oodles of love. That's going to apply, and a lot of the text that will be on here will apply to your business if you're using templates that are, you know, similar. But if we wanted to, we could change this, and we could highlight that this might make a great gift as an example. Again, one of the benefits associated with purchasing this product. So great gift, something like that. And then on this next line, for yourself or others. You know, you're going to buy this yourself, or you're going to buy it for someone else. And then buy, this would be an option to put in a company name, logo, whatever. We don't have in this scenario, so I can just go ahead and delete this element, which you can very simply do just by clicking on this little bin icon up here. So let's say we wanted to pop in that rainbow cake image, the one we've been talking about in the ad creative there. There's obviously other things you could change. You can change all these various little elements if you wanted to. I think a lot of the time you want to leave those in. That's why you've gone with a template in the first place. But if there's like, that one doesn't work, let's change that out. This one doesn't work, let's change that out. You can absolutely do that. And then you've also got the audio down the bottom. So if we go ahead and just play this through, it's only 20 seconds long, but you can see the sort of thing we've very, very quickly created. And then of course with something like this, if you wanted to add like some more onto the end, to add a call to action in, you can absolutely do things like that. There are other templates that will have those things included automatically. It's really up to you. So one of the other core components to this video ad is the audio. Now I quite like the audio that was included in this template, so I would probably leave it, but we could easily change that out. So on the left hand side, we could just come in and select music, and then we've got moods, for example, that we could then dig further into. So we could go in playful, right? You can go through and change these out, stick with the template, whatever you want to make it exactly how you want it to be. And I think one of the fantastic things about InVideo is not just all those audio options, but you also get an enormous amount of stock photos, stock videos that by themselves would cost a lot more than an InVideo subscription that you can use to add into your things. Okay, and then once you've got all those elements sorted as you would like it, and you want to actually use this in your Facebook ad, very, very simple. You just want to go ahead and click on export. I'd recommend going with the best quality possible. Click on export, and then it will start to render that, and then you'll be able to download it, which I've already done. So I'm just going to jump out of this, and then you can go ahead and upload it into Ads Manager. So I'm here back in our ad campaign at the ad level where we've been putting in things like our primary text and our headlines and stuff like that. And what I'm going to go do is select add media and add video. And I've just uploaded the video that I exported from InVideo into Ads Manager, and then Meta's given me the option to trim this if I want. No, that's already been taken care of, so I'm quite happy to click next on this. And then I can crop, and this is where we can see it in the various different aspect ratios, and this is why I talked about in an ideal world you would create some different versions of this. You would do a square version and then a portrait version, and for the various different placements. But we can just sort of have a quick look and see what this looks like. You know, what it's going to look like in feeds, for example. It's going to be squares, we 1:1 ratio, and that's fantastic, and it's exactly how we want it to, and it looks fun and all that sort of stuff. And then we can obviously take a look at what it will look like in stories and reels and things, and it won't be this sort of blank space. You know, you've seen the sort of thing that happens at the top of stories, for example, where it extrapolates that out. You can see that certain placements is not going to be selected, or it will be automatically cropped. If we would select on this, you can see that it's not quite right because it's cut off in the text and stuff, so you wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to leave it as original. In this case, sometimes it might work, so have a little look and see what works. But as I said, in the ideal world, you're just going to go back into InVideo and create a different version with a different format, which is quite quick and easy to do. Okay, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and select next here. Now we get to this section where Meta's really encouraging us to use this thing called standard enhancements, which is basically tailoring and customizing our ad creative for certain things. And they say here, we're missing a 3% lower cost per result by not turning this on. So most of the time I do recommend turning on, and you can see what it does, right? You're gonna see that there are things like, this is the original. So we can see we've got original creative on here, and we've got it in a few different, like that's in the feed, obviously. And then if we scroll over, we can see what it would look like in a portrait format, and you can sort of go through the various options and see this. But this will vary aspect ratios depending on a number of factors of how it feels it's gonna improve performance. We can scroll up here and see what Meta recommends, where they say tailor your ad for the person viewing it by letting us automatically optimize your creative, and they'll do things. And at the moment we're getting a little bit better results from standard enhancements, nothing massive. There's no wrong decision here at this point. Most of the time I would just turn it on. I think there's little downside in doing so. But then we can go ahead and click done, and then we've got our creative added in. And if we wanted to, we can always go in and change it, or change the various elements depending on the placement options. So we could leave the 1:1 aspect ratio for like feeds and things like that. But if we want stories and reels, portrait, we could go ahead and grab a different file. But that's much of a similar process. So that's our ad creative added in. Then we're going to scroll down. We can add in a description. We'd often go with something really similar to the call to action that we include in the primary text. It's not going to show for everyone. It's only going to show for some people, but just emphasizing the action that we want people to take. Pop in there. Optimized text per person has been enabled as part of standard enhancements. And then our call to action, you just want to go with the option that best describes the action you want people to take. When we're advertising these cakes that we're selling, we want people to shop now. If we were using the interior design example, we would have something like learn more, or we could have sign up as an example, which should be somewhere. Yeah, sign up's just beneath it. Because they're signing up for a free consultation. So just whichever option with the call to action button makes the most sense depending on what it is that you're advertising, go with that. Then you can go ahead and turn on this ad preview, so you can see exactly what it's going to look like on this right hand side with the headline, the call to action button, the ad creative in there. You can play to take a look, and you can also hear it, which is great. And then you've got your text up top, and if people click see more, you can see it here. And you can see what it looks like in various placement options. So this is what it looks like in Facebook feed. This is what it will look like in Instagram feed. Obviously there's a difference. And you can see that dynamic element, that movement is really important. And like the difference in results between this that we just really quickly created using InVideo, and the difference between this and just like a static image is really a big deal. So don't underestimate that. Taking a bit of time and effort, and it's not much, to go and get something like this set up is a good idea, right? You can go with Instagram profile feed, marketplace, go through all the various options so you can take a look at what it looks like, okay? Now I'm just gonna quickly jump back over to InVideo. I'm gonna go ahead and click into the dashboard. I just wanna give you another quick example. We're gonna use that interior design business. So if I go ahead back into templates, that's personally where I would start. You can just create from scratch if you want, but that's what I like to do. And then if I just go ahead, for example, and put in interior design video, let's say we wanted to advertise the interior design services. I had a quick look earlier, and I like the look of this timeless one, okay? So if I go ahead and select use template on this, obviously we've got a different aspect ratio, but you can see from that previous page, you can select the aspect ratio that you want. And then, for example, you can see if I just quickly run through what the idea here, we've got modern, so there's a few different images of like modern takes on interiors. We've then got classic, obviously a very different feel. And this is actually something when we've advertised interior designers, this is timeless, that we've emphasized these points because you want to be able to work with a wide range of clients, or at least this interior design client did, so that was important to them. So with something like this, we could literally just leave this as it was for the first, of the 22 seconds, for the first 16 seconds of it, and then just jump through and change the ending here. Now, of course, if we wanted to and we had portfolio images, we could go ahead and replace those with, replace the images that are already included, or we could go over here into images and left-hand side and grab stock ones. But you could literally just come in here and very, very quickly change something like, instead of modern, classic, timeless, change something like free interior design consultations. So if you're ever in a scenario, and then obviously put in the right, the right website and pop in the logo there. So if you're ever in like a situation where you need to create an ad really fast, you need to look decent, this you could literally do in a couple minutes. Just put something like this together, go with the stock images, and of course if you want to customize and things like that, then you can. But I just wanted to show you how quick and easy this could be if you needed to create a lot of ad creative, do it quickly, potentially you're working for clients, whatever, then it's a good option. And you can see that we just customize the text on the end, pop in a logo, for interior design consultations, got the offer there, and boom. So one other thing I want to quickly highlight, you can see over here on the right hand side, the chat icon, they actually have 24/7 live chat support. So if you run into any difficulties, just jump on there and you have your problem solved. Not all companies offer that. It's pretty good that InVideo do. So click on the link in the video description below and use the code BENFB25 at checkout. That gets you your 25% discount, and that brings the monthly price down to just $22.50, which is crazy when you think about the alternative costs that you would have to pay for video editing and all the stock footage and stock images and things like that. It's a great deal. And if you want to find out more about how to create really high quality ad creative for your Facebook and Instagram ads, you can check out InVideo's official YouTube channel. Again, there'll be a link in the video description. And if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please go ahead and subscribe and let me know in the comments below. It really means a lot to me when you do that, and the comments are really helpful in terms of feedback for future videos that I'm going to create. I do keep a very close eye on those. Anyway, best of luck with your Facebook ad campaigns, guys. Bye for now.